Some thoughts go almost unnoticed, yet they quietly reveal the most about our lives. One of those thoughts came to mind. When does being a quiet person slowly turn into living unseen? Not wanting attention is normal, but not wanting to be seen is something else. And many quiet people don't realize when they've quietly crossed that line. It happens gradually, so quietly that you barely notice it. I've been thinking about this a lot. For some of us, it doesn't happen in one big moment. It forms gradually through small decisions. At school, you stop raising your hand. At work, you let someone else present the idea. In conversations, you filter yourself more than necessary. None of it feels dramatic. It feels reasonable. It feels efficient. It feels like you're simply avoiding unnecessary trouble. It feels safe. And when something feels safe, we repeat it. Over time, those small decisions start forming a pattern. And eventually, that pattern becomes a system. I used to think this was just introversion. But I don't think it's that simple. For some of us, it's not about disliking attention. It's about disliking evaluation. We don't want careless judgment. We don't want to be reduced to one mistake. We don't want to look unprepared. We don't want to feel embarrassed in front of others. So we manage exposure. We reduce uncertainty wherever possible. If we're not fully seen, the chances of careless judgment decrease. If we don't step forward, we can't be criticized publicly. If we only speak when we're certain, we minimize the risk of looking inadequate or saying something careless at the wrong time. Over time, this creates another pattern, and it affects something subtle, how we express ourselves. Some of us don't speak less because we have less to say. We speak less because we filter more before saying it. Thoughts appear, but they go through a filter first. Is this precise enough? Is this appropriate to say? Is this the right moment? And many thoughts never make it past that filter. That sounds responsible, and honestly, it works. It keeps life stable. It protects dignity. It prevents unnecessary conflict. But over time, something subtle happens. Invisibility stops feeling like protection. It starts feeling like identity. You begin to believe that being selective is maturity, that speaking less is wisdom, that holding back is strength. And sometimes it is, but there's another layer. When your internal filter is strong, expression becomes conditional. You don't share thoughts mid-formation. You don't explore ideas out loud. You don't allow imperfection in public. You wait until it's polished. And because of that, people mostly see the controlled version of you, which reinforces the idea that control is necessary. This creates a quiet loop. You wait to feel accepted before expanding. You want a signal that it's safe first, a sign that people will understand you instead of judging you carelessly. But acceptance usually follows visibility, not the other way around. People can only respond to what they see. And if you remain partially unseen, that acceptance may never fully arrive. So you expand carefully, measured, calibrated, safe. And there's nothing dramatic about this pattern. In fact, it often leads to a peaceful life, low chaos, low embarrassment, low volatility. But every system has trade-offs. When you minimize exposure, you also minimize spontaneity. When you minimize embarrassment, you also minimize unpredictability. When you avoid careless judgment, you may also avoid meaningful acknowledgement. In other words, this pattern is not really about attention. It's about managing uncertainty in how we are seen. And this isn't about becoming louder. It's not about forcing yourself into uncomfortable spaces. It's about recognizing the architecture of your own behavior. Maybe you're not shy. Maybe you simply built a life that prioritizes control over expansion. Maybe you're not lacking confidence. Maybe you just prefer certainty before visibility. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's just important to know what you've optimized for. Stability has limits, Control has boundaries. Peace has a range. And that raises an interesting question. The question isn't whether you should change. It's whether the limits you live within are chosen consciously or inherited quietly. And sometimes understanding that difference is enough. Sometimes clarity alone is already a form of freedom. Maybe that's something worth thinking about, because not every thought needs a solution. Sometimes it only needs to be noticed.